post-it notes in. They're just tabs that I've used in the past. You can tear those out and not worry about it at all.
Okay.
So, I mean,
That's not a big deal.
if they're annoying or in your way, because I just use them for other stuff that I don't need anything.
I'm hoping to get an answer by the end of the month from ODE, so I'll assign my transcript for review. I called them, I left a message with them, and they're supposed to call me. They have until Wednesday to get back with me, apparently, and hopefully they will. Because I found out that that course I was supposed to take 6 months.
Yep.
But they said you have 6 months to finish it. So I'm not sure if that means it takes 6 months.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you
Just have a window of
you have a
time,
window of
yeah.
time to do it.
Is that where you go backwards and pull your knees up to you?
So I'm waiting for them to call me back because they also said that there is a, observation.
I know something.
I'm already, well, you have to like 16 hours or something, but I really have that right date, but I didn't send them my registration.
That may be
Oh,
your-
the banana. That's the whole time, I wasn't sure how to get there.
It is, and it's better than
I already
this
have my
next together.
Yeah, and then if the process started, if they need it later, I can do it, so hopefully.
I hope they accept that time, although I've had different teachers that have gotten their special ed, math, and special education.
It's a selfie.
They've had people, they've done their student teaching, and they've actually had they've had to go through the student teaching to get that separate degree. So-
Oh, yeah, I do that, yeah. Me too, I do that every day.
I took 4 years of gymnastics, and I think I told you that my mother encouraged me to find other interests. And I, even now, I
It's
really
different.
understand why.
It's different when you're a male though compared to a female when you're doing gymnastics, because that's like a power move. You know, like when it comes to flexibility, I'm drunk.
I don't have to.
We took CJ to gymnastics when he was little.
Adam did too.
Here we are.
Yeah, I'm
What's
not
up?
late. You said you Adam did totally. He was
I tried to do
good.
gymnastics, but it was not the thing.
Adam did for a year and a half until he realized that like, there were no kids in class anymore. And then he's like, this isn't too much fun. I'm gonna play golf.
Yeah, CJ has his mother's coordination, it wasn't very good.
I really want to be an ice skater, but my mom and my brother do hockey told me it was too expensive, so.
Oh, until that whole hallway.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And then you should relax.
One more week and Charlie can start doing stuff.
Say what?
One more week and Charlie can actually come out and do some things together.
Yay! I didn't realize it was that soon.
Yeah.
March 1st.
So you had to stay away?
Well, we're gonna be gone, we're gonna be gone.
So he's not gonna be gone?
No,
Are they set or yet?
we're gonna be retired next week.
I took this with Charlie, but in the beginning of the year, I do like I didn't try to make one for Halloween, like your illustration, one, et cetera. And one of my students had put down
I know, I'm excited.
one that he wrote, and I was like, I'm not sure that was it.
I'll love to hear that. Especially right now, where he's having that 2-month time where he just can't like connect or do anything or like, after that. it's just-
It's terrible, it sounds awful.
Yeah, you have to say, if you're not being retired, if you're doing retire, it's 2 days. If you're not being rehire, you can't go into school for 2 months. Because they don't, like, I don't know, I even wrote to them last year, I'm like, can't I just volunteer? I'd love to go in and volunteer, and maybe help out video. Nothing that weird, because people would get paid. People would say, oh, I'm volunteering for these 2 months, and you can pay me for I did those 2
Your
months,
kids
the
did
third
such
month.
a therapy this morning.
People just, twist
Oh, that's scary. I'm like, we're taking my classes every day, I'll make something every day.
Oh my God! And true story, it's gonna be hard to break because there's gonna be people, like,
That hopefully
Charlie shoes.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I told my husband, I was like, shaving the ass.
Yeah, it's-
They get it pulled out, it's like, sorry, reason to, sorry, I can't say this.
And at first I was like, oh, this is funny, that's cute, whatever, and now it's like, now it's definitely like security. No, I can break. Well, we didn't try to turn it off. We haven't, yeah, we haven't been really messing. You can get it down. Here, I just, there you go.
I just here to watch anyway.
Okay.
I did not, no. Where did you go?
Teresa.
Okay.
It's funny because this guy's very place. Very.
Captivating.
Hey, I volunteered.
Pretty great.
That's I brought
knowledge on here.
That's a great level meeting, some great stuff to do.
That's Sherry. She actually, yeah, I was gonna say, I've never done that. She did, she brought stuff to me years ago, but just simply. I said, how are you functioning right now?
Well, I told Charlie I didn't know if anybody needed this or wanted this, but I would offer to Brian when he was asking for fillers. So, I'm gonna get to model some bad teaching, just because of the nature of the room. I'm sure you find yourself in that situation too, where you have to model some bad teaching just because this is not obviously smart technology, and just because the location and the nature, there's something I have to move back and forth, so I apologize for that in advance. But LiveBinders, some of you probably seen them, some of you have them. Does anyone actually have a LiveBinders online account that you've created or used? Okay, so you created the account. Has anyone used LiveBinders? Are you familiar with it beyond just the professional day kind of warehousing of materials?
Just yours.
Okay. So it's pretty, that just gives me an idea of where to start for everybody. The other part of it that's kind of differentiated for you as adults and learning this is that how you think about yourself and how you approach new technology. So let's say that the iPhone 7 has just been released and it's new, or there's a new Android phone that's just been released, brand new, has a new platform, and everything is fairly new with it. Think about how you would approach it when you open the box. Are you going to look for the manual? Are you going to go online and try to find the manual and work your way through it that way? Or are you just going to turn it on, charge it up, turn it on, and then stumble into some things, stumble along the way? And think about what a big change in thinking that is for people who are not familiar with technology. Because there's a whole generation of people whose thinking is still, okay, I need the manual, and I need to read step by step how to put it together, how to make it work. That's kind of how I want to function today. Although I think maybe if I can give you some background material to start and then turn you loose with it, you'll have a chance to explore and have a better understanding when you walk away with LiveBinders. So it's going to be a combination of me walking you through step by step as well as with this, as you exploring and searching. And it's not very linear. You know, I usually do a PowerPoint or a Prezi, and that's as much for me as it is for you, because it helps me to stay on track, because I'm pretty random in my thinking. So I'll try not to be too random with this, but I think it's okay just because of the nature of the content. It's kind of funny. I don't know if anyone in here has watched or watches or is familiar with the show Portlandia, the TV show Portlandia. Is that familiar to anybody? Oh my gosh, it's really hilarious. It's making fun of Portland, Oregon. And you know, Portland, Oregon tries to be like the hippest place, the big hipster place. Yet they're kind of stuck in the 1890s in a lot of ways as well. And so two comedians, Fred Armisen from Saturday Night Live, a lot of years on Saturday Night Live, kind of behind the scenes, is one of the comedians that's out front, and Carrie Bronstein is the other one. And I was just thinking about this and how things kind of haunt you. There are a couple of sketches. Some of it wouldn't, it's definitely not school appropriate stuff, but some of it may offend some of you a little bit, but some of it's pretty funny stuff. And one of the sketches that they've done that's pretty popular is called Put a Bird on It. And they go into this little boutique shop, as this pair of consultants. They go into the boutique shop, that everything's kind of plain, and they're like, oh, you can put a bird on that. You can put a bird on that. And so they start putting all of these appliques and prints, and pretty soon the whole store has birds on it everywhere. So the big running joke through that whole thing is put a bird on it. And so if you hear people say put a bird on it, or even kids say put a bird on it, that's where it's coming from, is from that. At the end of that sketch, there's a bird that actually flies into the store, and they're all terrified because it's not this cute little thing. So there's that, and then they do a follow-up sketch called You Can Pickle That. Like the move toward pickling everything, you can pickle that. Pickle beets, pickle eggs, pickle cucumbers, pickle all different vegetables. And so they do You Can Pickle That. Well, when I think about LiveBinders, it starts to haunt you because you start to go, oh, I can LiveBinder that. You can LiveBinder that. We should LiveBinder that, because it just starts to become this tool, if you have time to use it, that really has a lot of usefulness and utility for teachers. So that's kind of the goal for the day, is for you to have a chance to understand how you can use it as a tool for yourself as a teacher to organize things, but also, especially for some of you, kindergarten maybe not so much, but for some of you it may be appropriate for your students to have LiveBinder accounts. You'll see a disclaimer that to have a LiveBinder account you have to be 13 years of age or older in order to have one. However, for schools, if a teacher goes in and creates a LiveBinder account and then signs the students up through that LiveBinder account with that one access, so it's private, it's not that the students are putting a LiveBinder out there of things that are public, it becomes private, that you can do that. And so if we have a little time toward the end, and some of you are curious about that, I can show you how that setup works. But I'm guessing that for a lot of you, this is just going to be for organizational tool for yourself. And it has those two different layers in there. It can be an organizational tool that you use educationally, which is what I'm going to really try to focus on today. But a lot of people use them just almost like Pinterest boards. You know, on Pinterest you have the boards that you organize the pictures of things that you like. If you think about the Pinterest board and take it to the level of it becoming something where you can put websites or videos or articles that you find on blogs or in newspapers, or documents that you create, or PowerPoints that you create, or meeting notes and agendas, or all of those kinds of things. It just becomes a central place to put all those kinds. Anything that you would put in a traditional binder, 3-ring binder, can go into a LiveBinder. And so, walking back here to show you the next. All of these kinds of things can go into a LiveBinder. By the way, this PowerPoint is not one that I created. I was thinking about putting one together. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can LiveBinder it. There is a LiveBinder that has all the tutorials that people have put together for using LiveBinders. In that LiveBinder tutorial, there's a PowerPoint, there's a cheat sheet, there's really broad information about how to use LiveBinders. There are specific tabs that tell you, oh, so you've encountered difficulty uploading a document, how to upload a document, how to upload digital content, how to embed a LiveBinder within another LiveBinder. So if you get to those advanced levels, then you'd be able to find those answers, even without someone teaching you. And sometimes you just stumble into them and you just need that very specific content. But these can all be integrated together into a LiveBinder, just to show just how diverse it is. So I'll just walk if that's okay. Thanks for the offer, because I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But instead of having this, huge amount of information, it puts all of your content into one place. So here's the landing page for LiveBinders, just livebinders.com. And I'll just kind of walk you through what's here. And then eventually, if you want to create an account, you can do that. Or if you just want to explore, you can. There are 3 different layers for accounts, and I'll show you that in a moment when I hit upgrade. You can access LiveBinders without any account at all. Just go on, do a search, find the featured binders, find what other people have created and made public as LiveBinders. If you want to create something for yourself, then you would want to create an account, which is free, And for that free account, you can have 2 different layers of tabs, I think. I'll show you what that means in just a moment. You can put 10 of your own binders on that account, and you can even make them private so that only you can view those. If you want more binders or more tabs or more sharing opportunity among other people, then there's a fee that you pay for that level. And then if you're really a super user of it and you really have a lot of content with a lot of memory that you're going to be storing on here, you can pay a larger fee. Educators get a 50% discount, so whatever fee shows when you pop up on upgrade, I think it's $29.99 for that first fee level and maybe $199 per year for the second fee level. Whatever fee pops up there, there's a 50% discount for educators. And then if you go as a group, let's say the elementary decided this is really phenomenal, we're going to go with this. If there are 10 people, 10 accounts, then there's a deeper discount on that. So that just gives you an idea of all the different layers, but there's private and public binders. So we'll start by looking at what the public binders are that are available. And you can see that they've already pre-categorized them in business, education, e-portfolios, and evidence. I'll hang out in the education part just for a day. And then along this side, you can see the home page, featured binders, how to learn more, the upgrade, and the tools that you want. And this, as I scroll down this, you'll be able to see some of those featured binders. So, and then after that, I will log in and show you what a user account looks like once you've created it. So these are some of the educational binders that they have. You could get there from this and take a look and see some different binders. If I were you, the first place I would go is just do a search and then maybe type in what your content area is. So let's choose something. I just put family consumer science. Let's see if there's anything there. You can see that people have already created and made public some family and consumer science, and that's pretty discrete. There's a small population of people teaching family and consumer science versus the population teaching kindergarten or 3rd grade. But you can see that people have created family and consumer sciences. So you can take a look then at these tabs. I do want to tell you something, a couple of pieces of information when you view a public account. You see where it says useful here and views here. This one has 21 useful votes and almost 15,799, so almost 15,800 views. When I order something from Amazon a lot of times, or if I'm going to a hotel or something, I look at people's reviews and I go by, oh, it's got a 5-star rating and there were 500 people, we're going there. Or, just let that influence you. Don't let it influence you here. People don't rate LiveBinders. Even though this has had this many views, almost 15,800 views, only 21 people have given it a thumbs up as being useful. That doesn't mean it's not useful. It just means people don't, for some reason, they just don't rate LiveBinders. So don't let that influence you. Let your own judgment influence you. So you can just do a search, find one that's interesting to you, and then you can open it up. You have options to share the LiveBinder. You might send it to somebody else just to share it. You can present it, which is a chance to view it. Kind of interesting how this teacher structured theirs by dates. Looks like every day. 8:25. You control how you label those tabs. This may or may not be a good example. But you can see the daily lessons and the date, or videos this teacher uses. So this teacher's put inside their videos tab, they put a tab called how to use Prezi presentations. And so you could click on that and go straight to that presentation. So you see the first level of tabs, just like in your 3-ring binder that's set on its side. You have a first level of tabs, and then under videos, there's a second layer of tabs. And then if there were several videos on how to use Prezi presentations, there could even be a 3rd row of tabs. So each page each tab has one content, but then below that first level of content that's on that tab, you can start to have sub-tabs and base tabs, if that makes sense. So there can be, just like behind daily lessons, that doesn't look like it has very much, you click on it, and you start to see that every day that teacher has put their daily lessons in there. So that may be what you're finding as you take a look at just some tabs, some that you're just searching right now that are interesting to you. Did you get to follow up with your instructor from Oklahoma that we stumbled onto there? Okay, okay. That's funny. The other day, we were meeting, talking about assessments, and I was just showing LiveBinder as a resource or a tool, and we went into FFA or VOAG and just did a search, and actually came up with a professor that you had in Oklahoma. Their tab just stumbled on it, so they're LiveBinder. So you're just searching now, playing with it, opening it up, finding functionality. Any questions? Any problems? If you're not sure what you want to search for, you can search for one called How Teachers Are Using LiveBinders. You can search for one called Tricks and Tips for Using LiveBinders. You can just do a Google search and it'll take you straight to that public binder.
Yeah, I clicked on something different, but it's not doing
Go to the top to allow, is that what you did? Up here? Okay, that's what you did, and you said allow, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I did.
What's that? Mine's not working correctly either. Start test.
A navigational tip for you, once you get into a binder that you're looking at, if you want to go back to the landing page or the home page, just hit where it says Live Binders at the top, the red live, the gray binders. If you just hit that, that's a direct link back to the home page.
So when you create a binder, is it automatically visible to everybody on LiveBinder, or are there like security settings?
If you don't have an account, it's public. Your binder would be public. If you create a free account, then you can make it private. If you create a free account, you can make it public or private, but that's the way to make it private, is to create that free account.
So if you have it open for students to see, it's public, or can you make it private to where only your students can see it?
You can make it private, so that's where the share a binder comes in.
Okay.
Like if I wanted to share this binder with students, I can show you a tab up here that has share the binder. And I could actually type in the student email addresses that I want to share it with. Or if you want to share a binder with someone else and you know their email address, you can either type in their email and it gives them access, or you can send them a link and they can log into it. And you can password protect it or not password protect it. So there's all different levels. As you can imagine, some people have some live binders that they want to keep pretty private, so they protect with those different layers. Especially like if it has any kind of student identifiable information in it or anything like that, you want to keep it very, very locked down. Any questions about the search part of it? That's a pretty broad perspective, just doing a general search. That's not too hard to do. You could probably have stumbled on that yourself, but it's pretty amazing when you see how many people are using LiveBinders and how many different ways they are. This is the Tips and Tricks LiveBinder that I opened up. It's a good example of a pretty complex binder. As an example, to show you what's in here, on this tab page, which is, do you see that the arrow is pointing to LiveBinder tips and tricks here? It's pointing here. This page is like, if you imagine a divider in a notebook, and you have the tab at the top, and then you have the blank page. This page can be blank, or you can add content to that kind of cover page if you want to. So you'll see some that look with nothing here, others that have information that's been added in. Then when you look at LiveBinder tips and tricks, when you go down here, this next layer of tabs, you can see there's a tutorial. Here's how to copy content from one binder to another. I do that a lot. That's my little secret. I won't tell everybody. I want everybody to think I really have to work hard to create a first grade, a second grade, a third grade, a high school binder. A lot of those binders have the same information, so I just copy one binder into another one and then pull out what doesn't work for that particular grade level and add in what does work for that grade level. So it's a real time saver to be able to copy content from one to another. You can do a link to a specific tab. If you want to share that specific tab with students, you can link directly to that. One more help. That's just tutorials that are online for how to do that. Under instructional materials, on this one I hit instructional materials, and it opened a binder within a binder. So again, I'm not trying to tell you how to create this. This would not be what you would create at the end of today. It's pretty sophisticated, but I want you to know what you're looking at in case you open one that has this feature. So here's the binder, LiveBinder tips and tricks. I opened the binder, LiveBinder's instructional materials within. So that's going to give this person the ability, you're limited to 3 layers of tabs. That's going to give this person the ability to do 3 layers plus 3 more layers under just instructional materials. So this is how quickly it can start to really become complex, but it's very useful that it can become that complex. And so I wanted to show you this just because there's a PowerPoint in here if you wanted to do a self-tutorial on this. There's a PowerPoint, there's a PDF version of that PowerPoint. There's a print tutorial on the basics of using LiveBinder. That's why I didn't make handouts, because they're all in here. If you get to this, you can get to anything that you need to know. It's going to be very different for each of you. There are tutorials, just all kinds of information. And they've given permission for when you, on their intro, they've given permission that if you're using this for instructional purposes, that you don't have to give credit and welcome to it. It's just kind of a Creative Commons license that's out there that's available. And then there's some fun videos. If you had a little more time, you could look at those videos that teachers and others have made up of how LiveBinders have really helped their lives and helped them to organize. So I'll show you what it looks like. A couple of things. Here's what, this is a downloadable PowerPoint. I just want to show you what it triggers. If I do downloadable PowerPoint, then I click on this, then it's going to download it to my desktop. If I decide, oh, I don't want to download it, I just want to view it, I can just look at the PDF version. And this is why it's good for our students to be learning all about scroll bars, because there's 3 scroll bars on this one page. So you can see, then this is the PDF version of that PowerPoint. And I didn't download it, it's just hanging out there waiting for someone to open it. It's not downloading. Maybe I wanted to see the print tutorial. So here someone's made a little, taken this and made it so it's kind of the overview and how to go through each step. There are all of these LiveBinders that are tutorials. Here's a document someone uploaded. So that's just a document someone created. That's the content that they uploaded. I'll show you in just a moment the difference. But if you change your document, let's say you wanted to upload a document that you created, maybe it's something that you're going to use with your students, and you want to be able to have it just available any place in the world to take a look at, or to share with a friend, or you're collaborating with someone. If you're collaborating with someone, you probably don't want it to be a PDF, because you may want them to be able to change and edit and do the formatting changes. If you're not, let's say you've created something that you want your students not to be able to change on here, then you want to change it to a PDF, so it's protected and it's static. This is a PDF. I can't go in and change it. Because it's a PDF, it just opens on the page like this. No blue links, it just opens up. If it's something that you can download and edit, a document that you're going to share and edit or change, or you just upload it because you didn't take time to change it to convert it to a PDF, it'll show up with a blue link. And then whoever's working with it can download it, edit it, and re-upload the content. So you can start to see where it can be a really powerful collaboration tool.
How do you, like, if you were going into this, how do you add that binder to your list of your own?
I'll show you to create a shelf, and I'll show you how to do that too. So you like this one, and you want to add it to your own collection. Do you see this plus sign at the top? Add to shelf or copy. I have to log in to copy it, but I could just add this to a shelf that I create.
And then you don't have to search for it ever again?
And yeah, it would just be on your shelf, especially if you created an account and you log in and you put it on your own shelf, then it would always be right there for you. So it's your own unique shelf. While we're here, I'll just tell you about these. That's to get to the home page on LiveBinders, the little house. This shows you the featured binders. I'll show you one more featured binder. This is how to add something to a shelf. This is how to link or embed it. So if you wanted to share that with your students, if Whitney wanted to share this with her students, she could just hit this and she can email it. She could send it out as a tweet, put it on Pinterest or Plurk or any of the other social sites. I'm not sure. Something new, something else for another tech day, I guess. Plurk, I don't know. This one is the I is if you want to present it to someone. So it shows up in a presentation mode. Do you notice I lost the toolbar across the top? When I hit the I lost the toolbar across the top.
Yeah. Just bring them in for K. I can't even do that.
And just one other thing about tabs before I go into how you create this.
Yeah, track it all the way.
What happened? What changed? This is a public one. I didn't change any of the content.
Your tabs are on the
Tabs
side.
But I changed where the tabs are. You know, that's just personal preference. Some people get annoyed by having the tabs across and having all the space down here. So you have all this different scroll. When you go to a side tab, then you have the tabs over here, and you have all the space over the side. It's just personal preference. It doesn't really change the content. How I did that, and you can do it on the ones that you're looking at if you want to, is I just went to the I, and under play, it gives you the option of doing stack tabs, scrolling tabs, so they move this way. So they're all one line. Or side tabs left or side tabs right. And then table of contents just gives you an idea. It's an outline of what's available in the binder. If you create a binder, you don't have to create a table of contents. It just makes it up based on your tabs. I'm going to show you one featured binder. This little star is featured, whether it's here or at the top. There's multiple ways to get to anything that you want to see. I think it's interesting. Remember, this is featured LiveBinder's website across the world. What's the most popular LiveBinder right now that's being looked at? Among the most popular is Connecting the Dots, Ohio's new state test, LiveBinder that Mattel for Kids created. And principals have seen this, I'm sure, because they went to a whole training. And this is how they chose, rather than creating binders, you know, if you used to go to professional development sessions or meetings, 20 years ago, somebody created binder after binder after binder for everything. You may still have those on your shelves in your classroom because you're thinking, I don't know what to do with these because they've been around forever. Now, rather than creating all of those kinds of those static documents that can't be changed in a binder, LiveBinder is a great way to do professional development and share it. When Charlie and I do professional development in other places, that's what we will do now. And I'll pass around a pad with everybody's email address, and I'll send them a link if they want the handouts. We put all the handouts, the videos that we use, the books that we reference, everything that we're using there, and that way it meets anybody's needs, and we're not having to make all these copies and go, oh my gosh, there's 10 more people here than we thought, so how do we divide that up? Or it's just very convenient. Plus, the nice thing about LiveBinders, if I want to go in and change something and update a document, I can make the change, I can add it to the LiveBinder, and you don't ever have to keep updating it. If you have one of those physical binders on your shelf and I make a change to a page, I've got to hand it to you, just like we do our board policy manuals. Wouldn't it be awesome with board policy manuals? With board policy manuals, principals get a hard copy usually of the new policy, have to go in, pull out the old policy, put the new policy in the binder, give the old policy to somebody else to shred. So this just gets automatically updated, you lose that step. The other thing is when you embed a link to a website, it doesn't save the page as it is. It actually takes you live to that website. So if a teacher has a great website that you're following or a blog that you're following and they're always adding great content and materials, then you can just keep going to their live and you don't have to keep adding a new page every time. You just go to their site and as it gets updated, the binder gets updated. So it really makes a lot of sense. You can see, and there are, remember, beyond these tabs, multiple tabs under each one, but this is one that's been used by the State Department through Mattel for Kids for communicating all across the state about what to do with the new testing situation. There are all kinds of checklists, videos, tutorials, manuals, all kinds of things. This binder would probably take up an entire shelf if you tried to print it out because it has so much content. The downside is if you don't like to read stuff online, it's on you to print it off and use your own ink and paper to do that. But that's better than wasting it all for people who may not use it. Okay. So I'm going to log in and just show you one that's specific for National Trail. Perhaps. Okay. So you can see one of the things that we've been working with, as we all know, is the Ohio improvement process. So it just made sense to me because we have to share all of our stuff with the Ohio improvement process, K-12, we have to share that information with the state support team and the State Department ultimately if they want to take a look at it. Rather than sending an email every time a TBT meets and puts new messages or new meeting minutes in, or every time a BLT meets and puts new meeting minutes in, it just made sense to create a LiveBinder for it and then share it with the people at that level. You can see that I've updated it recently, and I can present it, I can edit it, or I can share it. If you had, Cindy has an account already, and so if I wanted Cindy to be a collaborator with me on this, I could set up and I could share this with all of you, even if you don't have an account. Just by having your email, I can share it with you. I could collaborate with Cindy, who said she already has an account set up, because she's got an account set up. I could go in, click collaborate. It would say who do you want to collaborate with. I type in Cindy's email address that she used when she set up her LiveBinders account, and it's going to verify it through that. And then Cindy would be able to edit and change just as I am on the account. I can add it to my shelf. I don't really have mine shelved or just like my whole brain is. It's kind of stacked. But if I wanted to be really neat and organized, I could make a shelf that just had OIP stuff or just National Trail stuff. I can make a copy of it. I do that frequently, like I said, when I'm making for different grade levels or different subject areas. And then I can present it. And when you present it is when you lose all the toolbars, and so it looks like it's visually more appealing for people just to see it. So there's what it looks like when I present it. I left the tabs across the top. In developing this, just to kind of think through how I did this, I had to think about the big picture of how I wanted it to look in the end. And so I had to start with the most broad topic at the very top tab. It just made sense to do that. So I thought, okay, the district leadership team is a broad area. I'm going to have content that kind of stair steps under that. The high school BLT is going to have content, the middle school, the elementary school, and then I just want to tap to hold additional resources that come out from the state or that everybody might need to have access to. So that's how I was thinking about setting up my first tabs. Then I thought, okay, under the district tab, remember this arrow shows me I'm under the district tab. There's a district OIP plan, and then each month we've had meetings. So here's a link to the OIP plan. And because I saved it as a PDF, it shows up directly here. You can't change it. It shows up just here. If I wanted to collaborate and make it so you could change, I could just save it as a document, and we can collaborate and share and make changes directly on here. I also upload the meeting notes, the DLT meeting notes. This is from our December meeting. So those notes are easily accessible to anybody I've shared this with. Now I protected this and I put a password because it is specific to National Trail. The elementary school, I have the BLT meeting notes for each month, and I even have some that are empty, like this one doesn't have anything because we're not there yet. And then there's the building. Additional resources. I have information from handouts that have been given to us, or slides, screenshots that I've done and put in. So you can just get a general idea of the different layers. The Leadership Council, this is a web page. When it has the www, it's taking me out to that web page. And I've been in the process of adding in TBT notes. So here's middle school TBT notes. 5th grade, you can see I went back to, I just gave it the naming convention, TBT 5, August, because of the level of support we're in from the state. Someone has to take a look at this as their desk on it, so now they can look at our notes and give us information. So I'm going to move out of presentation mode. I'm going to show you if I wanted to edit this. A new toolbar comes up because I'm logged in, I have my account. A new toolbar comes up. You can see I can still do my binder, share, add, view, change my account profile, any of that, the gray bars across the top. These tabs are now the ones that I'm using for editing. So if I wanted to add a new tab, which is the orange color, I would just hit plus and a blank tab would come up. If I wanted to add a sub-tab, which is this next level, the brown one, I made brown for trail. So the brown tab would be a sub-tab. And then under there, when I have all the little light tan color tabs for like the TBT notes, those are base tabs. So that's how I add those in. You can move the tabs around, so I'll mess with my own here and just kind of show you how I move those around, how I add content, and then change the settings and save. I'll just show you that. The other nice thing is it automatically saves, which is really nice because then you don't do a whole bunch of work and go, oh, I forgot to save, or shut down, I didn't save. It'll automatically save. I try to do both. I try to be redundant with my saving and let it save automatically, but also hit the save so I'm ensured that it's going to keep whatever I added. So let's say I wanted to, this is new. Remember when I was showing in presentation, it didn't have this red arrow next to DLT. I could change this and just change it to district leadership team. I could also say, you know, I really want that to be on the far right side, so I'm going to move that tab to the right, and all the content just moves with it. It's just like opening up a binder and moving that whole divider over to the right. So you can move it around in that way. Let's say, and if I had my computer, I was actually going to do this. Let's say I've saved the district leadership team agenda for today. We have a DLT meeting this afternoon. There's an agenda that's been created. I wanted to save it onto this account. How would I do that? I'm going to put it under district leadership team. Let's see, it's really February, so I'm going to add another sub-tab. I can move it all the way over. You know how to move it now, right? And so I can, if I had a great website that had what I wanted to add, I could just enter the URL for the website right there and it would go straight to it. But I'm going to add content to my tab. So the content I'm going to add, typically what I'm going to do is upload a document. So I'm going to save it as a PDF on my desktop or on my documents file on my computer, and then I'm going to upload it. I choose the file. So I would go into perhaps documents. This is not my account, but I could go into my documents, choose it, open it, verify it's the right one when it's chosen, make it private if I want to, and then just hit upload. And that's how I upload a document, and it would look something like this one did. Again, I'm not on my computer, so I don't want to create a new document on this computer and upload it.
Does that create that URL for the PDF?
Yes. It automatically creates a new, good question, it automatically creates this new URL for this PDF. That's what, you know, when you hear that information is doubling every so often, like it used to take decades for information, the amount of information out to double, and now it only takes days for information to double, it's because every single thing like this that gets created gets its own page, its own URL. That's new data, that's new information. Every photograph that you upload, everything like that. So that's why the information in the world is doubling so quickly. That's what it's creating. So right now, let me go log out. Oh, I'll tell you more about, let me do, I can save. Under settings is where I can name it, describe it. I could tag it in case it was public and people wanted to be able to search it. And then I created this under learning adventures, and if it's under category. And then access is where I can make it private. So the key is OIP. So if you type in, National Trail OIP LiveBinder, it goes there, it'll say access key, and then you've got to type in OIP because I protected it. If I didn't have that protection, it would be a public binder. Okay? So all of that being said, since this is just an introduction, I'm going to log out. And if you want to, you can search. If you want to, you can sign up. Remember the email that you use if you do sign up. Remember the email that you use, because that's the email someone's going to collaborate. For example, if the whole kindergarten team wanted to collaborate with binders, it'd be important that you each know that you maybe use the nationaltrail.us or your first class email address, so then you can set up each other as collaborators in the binders that you share.
What's
No, go ahead.
my question? Might have multiple questions, so you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
So the LiveBinder that you've set up for us, how do we get to that without having to go to our email every time and open up your LiveBinder? I've done it once, but now I can't remember. but you can't search through here because it's not, it's private. So you can't just search in LiveBinders.
I'm strongly considering setting up everything that's for National Trail with just NT as the access, so that we're not having to keep track. I usually try to use some logic like OIP is OIP and those kinds of things, but that is a problem. You kind of have to have a place like your passwords that you're keeping track of those access keys.
Okay. So we can't just
So
go
you can't,
to here.
you can't search it to find what the
Okay.
access is.
Say for instance, what's going through my brain is all my ag science notebooks I have for all the students. If they, because a lot of my stuff that I have can be electronic, if they make their ag science notebooks through LiveBinder, would each one of my kids have to, like, how does the subscription, where it says like 3 levels and so much memory, would I need to buy one? Like,
If you go on and look at the, how educators are using LiveBinders or educational uses of LiveBinders, there's actually, let's see what's, I wrote down what it was called, how teachers are using LiveBinders. If you search that, there's actually a video and information that shows you exactly how to set up student accounts, and there's a cost with it and all of that. And you can see what teachers have done. And I think there's even a tutorial that you could show for students to learn how to set it up. And then there's a tutorial that they could use for learning how to share it with you. Because you might want your students to each have their individual binder for what you have to do, but Whitney may just want to have a page that everybody shares the form on, or a tab. So you can set up one tab and then an individual tab for every student, or it just depends on how public you want it to be. It's really pretty boundless what you can do, which makes it scary and fun.
Everything I needed disappeared.
Is on my binder.
That's what we're just looking, is your LiveBinder on Moodle, the link to?
I don't think so. That'd be a good place to put it, though.
There we go.
How do we get to it now?
If you type in National Trail OIP,
In
and,
LiveBinder?
and you can just type it probably, yeah. Or there's email search. I can resend it to you. But that is
Email
that is
search is usually what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got mine to email search.
Okay, yeah, that's what we normally do. I
And
just
she
didn't know
had
if
a
there
little
was
code
an
in
easier way.
there.
I'll talk to Brian and find out if there's an easier way to just share one page. Because that's the thing, like to share with, I want Jeff, Mr. Barker, to be able to see all the things that everybody is working on. So I've got to send him a list with all the different links and all the different access codes, and that gets pretty cumbersome.
you said it was teaching resources? Education?
How teachers are using LiveBinders? Yes, how teachers are using LiveBinders. It could be, because it's shut down. Taxito is taking a word cloud, is making it into a shape, that you could make it in the shape of Ohio, the word cloud. Or, so it takes the words and it actually gives them a border and an outline. Yes, so that's like, you can do all these kind of artistic things, it's Wordle and that's not a website.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you really get excited about it and you get to thinking, I can LiveBinder that about everything that you see, you can actually, there's actually a way to embed it. You can just look that tutorial up, but you can actually add to your toolbar, your Google toolbar. You can do all your Google Docs and calendars and everything through LiveBinder. But if you want to add to your toolbar, there's a little icon that when you find a website, in LiveBinder.
So I beg to get my website up and running.
I was doing that when teacher evaluation was first coming out, and it was a hot topic across the states, and there were all kinds of blogs and newspaper articles and opinions and information about how different states were doing that. So just for my own sanity, because of all the different places I was reading it, I just couldn't keep track of, I read about what Colorado was doing somewhere, but I can't remember where it was. I didn't want to have to Google search everything. I just created a LiveBinder. I made different, tabs and just added all those articles in there. So it has a lot of different applications. So you can put a bird on it, you can pickle it, and a LiveBinder.
She's gotta get ready for
Oh, that's right.
presentation.
She has stuff to do. I forgot she doesn't have to go to the AI.
If any of you want to follow up or individualize or have quite specific questions, just get in touch with me. I'd be happy to respond to you by email or come in and just sit down and go over with you or answer. Even if it's just a little question or a big question, I'll help out.
Just our fourth grade teachers.
Say the whole section of my lecture, so all I do is I argue with them all the time about cleaning the time. They have papers and stuff, and then I don't know.
I'm going to take them on to an interview or they're applying for a scholarship or something. They have electronic version, but I remember showing that's really impressive even on the.
I know my supervisors at CTC, they like
Right.
seeing those binders. Just for the fact
Like, I
that
don't call
it's easy to view, to see all the progress that you're making. This is still, this is still good.
Cons are.
Are not likely. From November.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a LiveBinder app for iPad. It's a little more functional than the one on
I just wanted to know, like, on the, how to use it, as a speed. As I go by, get this year, I like binders.
Vimeo 101.
And then I'm like, $10 times 60.
Come to the class and I don't know nothing.
But as you get into it, your questions, like I said, maybe I can drop by. Questions. If I don't know the answer, I probably have time to get back to you and maybe some
Don't you
contact.
come on and mess around. She got work to do.
They don't have any middle.
National Trail is so far ahead, Ron says the district so far ahead.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. Back to last week.
Yeah, that would be easier.
If we have to, like, actually 2 hour delay, keep that, like, and come out last night, you go down, Wednesday, a couple times maybe had that shared right here. Had issues or whatever. It's still me, it's the one I've gotten ready, that we haven't done.
With 6 days greasing on it, and I found out 2 days later when I went to go get it.
Yeah, everything's planned,
updated to
just, we're backtracking.
You know, and I usually, I'm pretty good about saving myself on
Yeah.
place without music.
No more, no offense, but I know you guys like little babies, but no
But if
more.
Olivia's on,
Track back.
great videos while she's searching for.
You know what, when it gets nice,
Those
you don't hear
binders.
it.
I know.
You can LiveBinder.
Is that what you're
But
doing?
yeah,
I wish I was more like her.
My older kid.
Well, thank you, enjoy the rest of your day.
Anything about, so I knew, and I was well, really, because my kids have to take.
I hope you know how unique
Very
this day is
scary.
too, not only unique
Yeah.
as National Trail
It's
so
not
far ahead,
fair. It's not
technology,
fair.
but just the fact that you have the same researchers presenting is.
Oh, I know.
But they're not all around the state, they're not around the state.
Well, I looked at,
There's schools down there too. I was gonna say schools down by AR talking about missing 20 days.
Yeah, that's what Matt's been told.
You know, I know if she's been in the
I'm gonna ask Brian if there's another way
you know, I mean, seriously.
But I think there's still
20
that
days.
problem.
I'm
That's what they're
saying
saying.
Well, the teachers go
Middle school
in.
is
but-
Still, I
I
hate
hate
to teach my kids.
Next year,
Why are they here?
I told her, she goes, what she goes,
Yeah,
say,
we're all in it together.
I mean,
Access that.
Yes, it's a mess. But I mean,
And
you know,
put
like,
together
it's
the one that's
extra-
for,
it's time.
you know, each grade level.
no, it's
So it's not really.
you know what I mean? As a
What's
teacher
your window?
there,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I
what
call it
I'm
living the life. It's living the life.
So how's
Good
Peyton?
morning, thanks again for breakfast.
Good.
Is he, I mean, is he?
His lip is really sore.
Oh,
It's in like inside, just two, the two, and
You really texted me the other night.
you know, Derek Ross was right. You know, we're really
On
thinking
what?
about
He goes,
moving,
well, I was
but
at Sad last night.
our part is
He said, so Rachel, when you got engaged?
shut up. I mean,
Like,
it
nice
was-
to know.
We lucked out that it happened,
I
he was
know,
still in the
this was just
office,
like the other-
because
I
they
guess
had
this
early
was
finance
weekend,
that
a couple
day.
days ago.
And Karen came down,
Nicer
and so
now.
I
We're texting
think it was
my
at
son, well, this is
3:30.
good.